On this video, it's all about Project EcoBoost and our 79 Mustang getting an EcoBoost swap, so stay tuned. Man, it has been what seems like forever since I made an updated video for you guys. And I've got so much to do and so much to show you. There's been a lot of work done and a lot more to come in this video that we're going to be doing. So I got lots to show you. I'm really excited. It's finally beautiful weather. We've had some crappy weather here in Texas. It's been kind of cold. I've been really busy with work. Been stupid busy getting some work projects done at the beginning of this year. So I've had a really hard time finding time to get out here and update you guys, and I'm also having a hard time getting some parts in. I'm waiting on some parts, and we're going to go through all that here. But let me first show you and get you guys caught up to speed on everything I've done since last time we talked. All right, clearly you can see a lot of lots of changes here. So as always, I forgot to mention, welcome to the House of Dula. Glad to have you. Welcome to my garage. Okay. This is where the Foxbody things are happening right here. So in case you don't know, this is your first time here, this is our 1979 coupe that is receiving a 2.3 liter EcoBoost motor from a 2015 Mustang. The goal here is to make the car look as factory as possible. Kind of like Ford's engine technology was way more advanced, but their body technology was still stuck in 1979. So we got a lot of things we're going to do in this video. What we're going to be working on is the shifter. I got to move the shifter hole up. Okay, that's going to have to happen. I'll go through all that, and we're going to look at some wiring, do some more wiring mock-up to try to get an idea. We're going to place the computer, start placing some of the wiring down, and then get everything mocked up for the cooling system here in the radiator. I've got an intercooler, a rad intercooler to show you guys. We got a tank up here. So again, lots to show you. Before we get started on all this, let me do a quick recap on what I was doing when I was out and you guys were doing whatever. I don't know what you're doing. I got a few things I've done here. Let's get right to it. Okay, last time we talked, I was doing a pedal conversion, pedal swap. We got the pedal swap done. I had to do a pedal swap because it is now rocking a T5, not a 4-speed rug transmission. One of the issues I had with this was the clutch pedal itself was just way too high. Okay, so I actually created a clutch pedal stop, an adjustable clutch pedal stop. All right, so now that the clutch pedal stop has been in, is perfect. I've got the perfect height adjustment now. It's right next to the brake pedal, slightly above the brake pedal, and it's just perfect. I've got a slight slide right over from gas to brake here. Okay, so the gas pedal is just slightly underneath the brake, and then we've got the clutch pedal just slightly above the brake pedal. So I've also got the clutch hooked up. So that's pretty cool. The clutch cable feels good. It's adjusted. Got the firewall adjusted in there. Got the cable hooked up. Let's go into the engine compartment. I'll show you that. So this is a Maximum Motorsports clutch cable. These are the bee's knees of clutch cables, guys. They're awesome. Now it is really long, but it's okay. It's going to be hidden under the engine cover, and it needs to be long. In fact, it's not supposed to route here. I've been playing with the intake hosing and tubing and whatnot, so it'll probably be looped around this side of it, and then we need to build some sort of a standoff and a bracket to hold this in place over here. But it does. It has a nice snake to it, but you can't feel it in the pedal. But check this out. So down here, where it goes into the transmission, it has got a nice hard curve to it right there. See? So it's got a bend to it. Now, I don't feel that. That may become a problem later on, and we may have to get something done with the oil filter and relocate with a remote one or something. But you can see on the oil pressure sending unit there, I've put some copper pipe on and extended it out a little bit to get out of the way. Otherwise, the cable is resting right on the sensor. That's not cool. And also, teed it here and put a cap in it. So if I wanted to uncap this, I could put the stock sensor in if I want to go ahead and, use the stock gauges. I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet, but if I use the stock gauges, I'm trying to make provisions like motor so that I can. Okay. Hey, look, while we're down here, yes, Steeda bump steer kit. Looks good. It's absolutely necessary, especially since we are still waiting on the bracket. So AJE, if you remember, is building me a drop bracket. my steering rack will not fit here. It won't clear the oil pan of the EcoBoost engine. They built a drop bracket. It's going to move it down 1 inch and out like half an inch or quarter of an inch from where it is, standard on their K members. Now they're doing that because I went with power steering. Manual racks don't have this problem. Power racks do, but they're building me something for that. Because the rack is going to be moved down, it's even more essential that I have this bump steer kit. So I went ahead and got the cedar kit. It's a super nice kit. Changed out the inner tie rods to Fox style, and then hooked up the bump steer kit. So they're loose in here just for mock-up again. All right, let's talk about the booster. Now, the brake is actually in. Everything's ready to go. We need to run brake lines, of course. I'm going to try to do that. It's on the list. But if you remember, I was trying to put in a Cobra brake booster. This is a Cobra master cylinder. It's a 1-inch master cylinder. I had a Cobra booster in here as well. We actually made room on the shock tower, and I heated it up, bent it out, beat the crap out of it to make room for a Cobra booster. However, it does not fit. Let me show you the clearance we've got here between this booster and let's see if you can see it. Yeah, right there we go. Yeah, so that is the head. I'm sorry, that's the intake right there, and you can see we just got an air gap between this. This is a standard GT, standard Mustang booster, and I think it's going to be okay with these big brakes and how light the car is going to be. If not, I know what you're asking. Why didn't you go hydro boost? Let me tell you why. Because honestly, I didn't want the extra hydraulic hoses and simplicity. Okay, we have a vacuum pump, mechanical vacuum pump built into the back of the EcoBoost motor here that is being fed straight to the booster. So this is the only thing that's going to be vacuum fed in the system other than the AC. So we will have to get a vacuum port out of here. Not this. This is for brake assist. But from the normal manifold vacuum into the canister to feed the AC in the interior for vacuum AC controls. So that's done. So we got clutch cable check, steer bump steer check, the master cylinder figured out, and brake booster figured out. Now I am going to go with a hydro boost. I am going to go with a Volvo pump to power the power steering, because as you know, these motors do not have power steering pumps. So I do have to run an electric hydraulic pump to run the power rack. And I know you're thinking, why not just go ahead and run lines to the hydro boost? But again, I didn't want the extra lines and mess in the engine compartment. I did it for cleanliness and simplicity. And also, if it doesn't work, I can change it, okay? No big deal. Nothing's set in stone. If I drive this car, I hate the way it brakes, and I decide I need to put hydro boost on it, I can do that, okay? It's my car. All right, moving on to the side of the motor. Man, doesn't this stuff look good? This stuff looks so good. Yeah, check it out. We got the AC compressor on. If you remember back in the older videos, I had the compressor, but I was missing the bracket. A good friend of mine that did the EcoBoost swap in the Volvo gave this to me. He gave me the bracket and the bolts, so this is awesome sauce. I now have a properly bolted on AC compressor. Speaking of bolts, if you guys have an EcoBoost or a parts yard or know where you can get parts, I need some nuts and bolts. I need some nuts and bolts for the alternator on the side over here. Okay, I'm missing a stud right here, and I'm missing some, I can always just put a screw in there. I can make it work, but I would prefer proper Ford fasteners if I can. But I'm missing some hardware for the alternator. And I'm also missing some hardware on the engine cover. While we're here, let's talk about this. All right, so you let me know what you think. I'm going to run this because I like the cleanliness. I like the factory look we got going on here. This looks like it came from Ford. Looks like you're going to pop the hood open this car. It's going to look just like a 2015 Mustang, except cleaner, okay? So I'm going to run this. I love it. I ended up just buying a brand new replacement one from Ford. It's actually really cheap. It's really cheap. I think I got it on eBay. So this was super cheap. And just for kicks, I've got a bunch of these decals. Ended up using one here just to see what it looked like. That's the EcoBoost logo. I don't know. I may move it up. I may paint it on. I may take it off. I don't know. But what about the airbox, Mike? Guys, what do you think, huh? I'm using the stock airbox. Now, I did lots of work. I'm going to go through a quick recap, but let me show you this bracket I built on the side of the airbox and everything I did to get this thing to fit. So the air box is incomplete. I've notched it. You can see it right in here. I've notched the bottom of it so that it folds around the Scott rod panels and sits the whole box lower and more flush. I've test fitted this with the hood on, and it does indeed clear by about that much, but it does clear. The hood is not rubbing it. It's nice and low. Now to fasten it down, I decided to use the factory style bracket. Now check out this bracket I fabricated up. So this guy ended up taking some extra steel, cutting it out, using the rubber isolator here, and then bolting the hole here and actually tapping and threading this in, so we have now a nice steady mounting point. I've got this thing down as far back as I can before it hits right there, okay, but it's completely serviceable, see? So we'll be able to now, you know, change the filter out just like you would any other car. So that is pretty cool. See, so we got the filter, it's serviceable, it's ready to go. Intake system is 100% stock. The only thing I had to do is fill this hole on the bottom. You can see, because I notched it. I basically cut a wedge out of the bottom of this air box, and then what I've got here is some plastic sheet, some really thick plastic sheet. We can heat up, weld into, you know, a channel, and then glue it on and get it, you know, just get that hole cleaned up. So we're probably going to leave this like you see here. This will give me some room for my fans. With a shroud, I shouldn't be blowing hot air into this. Not that it matters, because everything is going into a big intercooler. Let me show you that right now. All right. Yes, this is a Mishimoto intercooler, and it's rad. And you see the black theme going on here, see? So this is beef, okay? This is huge compared to a stock Mustang. Way thicker, way better flow. This is gonna be awesome sauce. And if I got time today in the video, we're gonna see if we can't, you know, maybe get this mounted as well. So, intercooler has been purchased. Okay, so this is the SVE radiator, of course, in black. I have also taken the brackets, cleaned them up, painted them black, and sorry about that noise, guys. So this is cool. Now, here's the deal. I'm not using this radiator. Right now, it's here for mock-up. Let me tell you why. DeWitt's came out. They reached out to me. They noticed that I was doing this project. And if you remember, DeWitt's helped me on the radiator on my 86 turbo car here. Love that radiator. They decided they wanted to help me out with this car. So instead of just going with a standard radiator, they're going to custom make one specifically for a modular motor and EcoBoost build here, which also benefit you Coyote guys doing Coyote swaps. So I gave DeWitt's a list of criteria and certain things that I wanted out of the radiator. The dimensions are perfectly good, okay? And this radiator is going to be plenty big enough to cool the EcoBoost motor. So what they're going to do is they're going to provide me a radiator that's the same dimension, that's already pre-made for a 79 to 93 Mustang. So they have a 7993 Mustang radiator in stock already. However, they're going to do some modifications to it that they don't currently right now have on shelf. One being, we're going to remove the radiator cap. So being that I've decided to use the stock bladder style system, again, for that complete factory look. So we're going with a degas bottle and expansion tank that Ford would use on the system from the factory, and because of that, you don't need two filler caps. Your filler cap's going to be up here and not down here. So what they're going to do is give me a radiator without the filler cap that also has a barb in here for the return, okay, to go into the radiator. So the radiator will be capless. It'll be black. They're also going to paint it black, which is cool. It's going to be powder coated black, and the bottom intake port is going to be a different size. Let me show you this. So this radiator fit up beautifully with the EcoBoost motor. Let me show you this. Shockingly, the radiator hoses are absolutely perfect. So the stock, again, these are the radiator hoses that came with the Ford control pack. This is a Ford Motorcraft upper radiator hose. It fit perfect. I trimmed about that much off this side, and that's it. And it's ready to go. Complete bend, perfect shape, perfect fit. Bottom, guess what? Same way. The bottom radiator hose is perfect in shape and length. The only issue is that the outlet here on the bottom of your radiator on a factory Foxbody Mustang is 1.5 inner diameter, 1.5 inch, and the EcoBoost hose here is 1.25. So this is actually the same as the top. The top is 1.25 ID, and the bottom here is 1.5, but they're going to build the radiator to a 1.25 diameter here on the bottom. So this is cool. On top of that, I've also asked DeWitt's to provide mounting tabs. Their radiators, from what I can tell, do not have mounting tabs on all four corners so that you can use your factory brackets. I like the factory brackets. I want to use it, so I've asked DeWitt's if they can put the tabs up on all four corners of their radiator as well. And that way I can use my rubber isolators on all four corners and have that factory look. So DeWitt's has offered to build a radiator for me. Don't get your hopes up yet. Because I'm still paying for it, okay? That's one thing. It's not free. Depending on cost, it could be awfully expensive. So, depends. This SV one will work just fine. So if they end up not, or if I end up not being able to afford it, something like that, or if they can't do all the modifications that I'm asking, then I'll probably just keep this and we'll make it work. All right, this is an expansion tank from a 2015 EcoBoost and Coyote. They use the same expansion tank. Of course, this is a Mishimoto tank. This thing is absolutely phenomenal quality, and it is not cheap. This is a $200 tank, and it shows in every way possible the quality of the welds. This is a beautiful tank. However, assuming that I was going to be able to use this because all the clearances in here are roughly, the same position as a factory Mustang would be, factory intake, factory radiator hose. However, that being said, this is not in the factory location. It's most likely pushed quite a bit further out because of how I had to angle it, and because of that, even though this technically fits right here, we could build a bracket. If you put the cap on and you test fit the hood, the cap is just slightly too high and the hood was hitting it. So I've got another one coming. That's right, I've got another tank. Whoa. Easy now, easy. So I got another tank coming from I think a 2011 Mustang. So it's similar in size, however they have a really big notch right here that I'm hoping clears this, and unfortunately this I have to go back or I'm going to sell it because this is a beautiful tank. So we've also purchased a factory cap. I had to buy this separately. This is a Motorcraft cap from Ford with the correct pressure that this car would have, which is 21 psi. Alright, so I think that gives you guys caught up to pretty much what I've been working on. Let's start getting some work done and show you what we're going to work on today. So as you know, we have the Essinger kit hooked up to a T5. It is an adapter plate. There's a whole video on that. Go back and watch that if you're curious. But the placement of the T5 put the shifter just a little bit too far up, and I can't put the boot on. So in fact, I don't have a cross member in place right now. It's just kind of sitting on a jack stand. But what we need to do is remove the shifter, and I'm going to move the hole up. Now it's not much. We're talking about moving it up to about 1.5 inches or 2 inches, the whole hole. And I know what you're thinking, you're like, what? Yes, remove the whole hole. I'm going to actually remove the carpet. May cut it out because we're going to be getting new carpet for it anyways. It's pretty shot over there. So what I probably will do is cut a section out of it, and then we're going to actually move the hole up to accommodate this shifter here. Now I've gotten this thing pushed up. This is an MGW shifter. I got it pushed up as much as I can to adjust it. It's in a really good spot, like it's comfortable in the driver position, and it just needs to move the hole up. So I know what you're thinking. Why don't you get an offset shifter or something? Listen, the problem is that the shifter itself is hitting, so I gotta get the transmission. Actually, the transmission needs to come up a little bit, and I can't, of course, because it's it's hitting. I had to notch it just to get the engine and transmission installed. This notch here. So on top of that, we're also going to be trying to get I want the factory shroud. So another thing that would help this situation is use an SC95 T5 from 94-95 5-liter Mustang. Again, from a 94-95 model, because it has a longer bell and a longer input shaft and would actually move the whole transmission back. Now here's the deal, guys, it only moves it back 5/8 of an inch. Okay, it's not as much as a lot of people think. So for me, it doesn't make sense to change the whole transmission out. I know the shape of the transmission. I would have to change the bell, the transmission, and the fork, or I had to get that and swap it in my T5, which I'm just not doing for 5/8 of an inch. It's just not enough. So what we're going to do is just move the hole up so that we can put the standard shifter and everything on. So all I'm going to do all I'm going to do is we're going to place just a little bit of metal, here, a strip, and then we're going to move about 2. So we're going to move about 2 inches. We'll probably put a strip through here and weld it in, and then we'll cut 2 inches out from here, and then we'll drill and use the cage nuts back in there, the factory location, so we can get the factory boot on. So that's the plan. Oh man, let's take a second to just simply awe on how absolutely solid these floors are. God, I tell you what, it is such a relief to see a car this old in such good shape. I mean, man, my 86, complete opposite. This looks still brand new. And what do we have there? The build sheet. Yes. How cool. Oh man. All right, we'll look at that in a second. But look at this. We still got, looks like a Mustang part number. Probably from the bottom of the seat maybe fell into here. Look at that though. Some sort of a decal that was somewhere that had fallen to this crack here. Man, look at the metal on this, guys. Look at that. The sound deadening pad is still in good shape. What is this? I don't know what this is, but it's cool. So yeah, check this out. The brake line on the 79 goes through the firewall. It actually runs down the length of the car and then goes over and in. And check this back seat out, guys. Look at it. It's like brand new. The foam. God almighty. These are time capsules, man. And I hope I'm doing this car justice by doing what I'm doing with it. All right, man. That's pretty cool. I'm going to salvage these. And these will stay with the car forever. I'm going to restore these, probably laminate this. This is in actually great shape. Tell you what, there's some memories with it like this that reminds me of my 86 when I did the floorboards in the same spot. There's this little spring-loaded clip on the top of these. You need to lift them up and then slide them out versus just pry them off. You pry them off, you can break these clips, break the spring on them, the lock. See, once you get this properly lifted up, it'll slide right off. Just like that, without damaging it. This one is. Okay, the next thing I want to try to do here, if I can, is actually get the shifter off. I may be able to cut around this, but I'll probably end up melting the rubber boot here. So, MGW. Okay, now again, I'm marking this. This is not my cut spot. This is simply shifter boot location. That is a pretty big, significant move. I think it's going to be in a good spot. The key here is to make sure that when I shift up and down, it doesn't bind, and I've got room to lift the transmission up, and that's the key, because I don't have room to lift the transmission up because of the shifter adjustment back here in the back. So this should be enough. I don't want to cut obviously all the way around here because you're talking about moving the tabs. The tabs need to stay, you know, somewhere about here, right? It's going to come up. So I don't know. I'm thinking if maybe if we move it up just a little bit more. I don't want to move it up too much because I don't want to, you know, get the shroud into here where you can't even open up the ashtray. So yeah, that's exactly 2 inches. Check that out. That gives us an idea, because what I can do now is go 2 inches from here, and this will give us a rough idea. All right, next day, let's get back to work. Now, we should know where to cut. I'm gonna not go all the way out. There's no reason to go out this far also. So what we're gonna do is just make this look more natural. Connect these two like that. Okay guys, now we can actually try to test fit everything. So let's do it. See how this fits. Alright. I'm not going to put this on permanently because we still have to put a gasket on it. Now what I might do, now I'm looking at this, I think I may not just add a little bit just to give myself a little bit more access to these back bolts, because it's still pretty far back there. Once the transmission's, you know, sitting up in place, it's gonna have a hard time getting these in or out without having an access hole or some other method of getting back here. All right, had to put the seat back in, had to try this out. It looks pretty good, but yeah, most importantly, I'm not hitting. So what I want to do now is jack the transmission up to where the engine's going to be. Make sure nothing's hitting back here. There's a bolt right back here in the back. I want to make sure it's not hitting the lip. It might be. If it is, we just need to notch that out just a little bit, but otherwise it's looking pretty good. I don't like, this is a pretty good feeling, like a pretty good position, especially with a smaller, and I could definitely shift okay. You are, you know, leaning forward a little bit. I'm not into the dash yet, but to combat this, I need to get a custom handle made and get this in its length. And what I probably would do is cut this right here and then lengthen it. So yeah, it won't be as short of a throw, but I can always, you know, swivel this and adjust the MDW this way. But that'll bring the shifter back to about right here instead of right there. But it's not by any means bad. So oh yeah, way better. So see, now because of this, my driveline angles will be correct. So the ultimate test is to bolt this down, because this is what was keeping me from shifting. The metal inside of here was, you know, jacking everything up. So let's see what happens. All right, dude, this is right on the money. No binding. Bam! All right, I went ahead and just shot it with a coat of black just to protect the rust a little bit. I'm gonna throw some seam sealer in some of the welds there. Just there's some pinholes in there. That'll finish up our. Cannot get the smudge off the glass. Now I was going to go ahead and get into the wiring harness here for the Ford control pack, and at least try to lay it out, this big old glob of stuff, but I decided not to. This is going to be a video on its own, I think. This video I'm sure is getting pretty long, so we're going to skip that for another video. I do want to show you though, however, one thing I completely forgot to tell y'all about is I got an HPS hose kit here for the car. Now the reason why I got the HPS coolant line hose kit, and I'll show you that in a second, is because my motor is actually missing all the side coolant lines and the back coolant lines. There's a coolant line that runs along the back here, goes in here, tees off, goes into the block, and then tees off and goes into the reservoir tank. So that is missing. I've also got some, you know, hoses here for the heater core. We'll see if that works. But I've got those because Ford wanted an arm and leg for them, for the factory ones. I really wanted to just get the factory ones, but they want a lot. So I went ahead and just bought the whole HPS kit. Check this out. Check this out. This has got everything in it. Look at all these hoses. This is the one I was talking about, going from that tees to the front, the back. You've got some smaller hoses here for the core support. Small lines for the coolant overflow tank, the reservoir tank, upper and lower radiator. Big hoses. So it's pretty nice kit. This thing was pretty expensive. This HPS kit was expensive, but still cheaper than what it was going to cost me from the Ford parts. So I think that's it though, guys, for right now. That ended up being a little bit more work than I anticipated, but we still have a lot to do. Cooling system, I've got to hook up, you know, we got to fit the intercooler. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I don't know if I want to cut the bumper or if I want to go the tube bumper. Thinking about going to the tube bumper for that. And man, electrical battery relocation. Got to run all the wires. And then before I get too far into building this car, I am going to just go ahead and pull it all out so we can get a body and paint done on the engine bay. Because there's going to become a point where I'm like, you know what? I don't need to drill any more holes. I don't need to, you know, weld any brackets. Like the firewall as a whole is good as far as fabrication, and that's when the things will come out for paint, everything. But it's hard to see this come together, knowing that you've got to take all of it off to do a proper paint job on it. We'll do a black undercoating on the outside here, and then we're going to paint it avalanche gray. The whole car's going to be avalanche gray, so the engine bay will also be avalanche gray. I also kind of kicked around the idea of doing the engine bay maroon to match the interior, but maybe a little bit too weird. So that's it. That's it. That's it for now. For now, a lot to do. When I come out every day, I just try to pick something. Whether it's cleaning up the garage, something that just keeps the ball rolling, something that keeps the project moving so it doesn't stay stagnant. I'm at the stage right now where I'm having a hard time finding the motivation, because I know how much is going to go, how much is left, and there's just a phenomenal amount of work left, you know. So that's okay. Everyone gets to the stage. Everyone feels like this with a project car. I'm here to help you. I'm here to say, plow through it. Just as long as you do something small like this weekend, I'm tackling this. I wanted to tackle this shifter hole. It's done. That's huge. Now I can line my my engine up, get the angles where I want, and then measure and start getting the cross mirror made. I gotta make a cross mirror for the car. Stifler's is gonna help me out with that, I think. So that's cool. I gotta wait on the radiator to come in, and the list goes on and on and on. So hopefully we'll see a new DeWitt's radiator, and then hopefully we'll get all of our coolant stuff ran, so that, yeah, we can continue on. The carpet's pulled out. I'm going to order new carpet for it. We'll dynamat the floor since it looks as good as it does. I've been chipping away some of the factory undercoating or factory sound deadening, and we'll put some dynamat in there, lay some new carpet in it, and yeah, that's it. Guys, listen, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. Check out the new t-shirts we got going on at houseofdula.com. Go there, click on the merch tab. Got some cool t-shirts. I've got some of them made here. In fact, at Fox Fest coming up this summer, I'll be selling them. It's only in like 2 or 3 months, so Fox Fest will be here before you know it. So guys, check that out. Go to the site, go to houseofdula.com to check out all the videos. Follow me on Instagram. If you do that, you get notifications on all the crap I'm doing here well before I put it on a video. And a lot of times I'll just post stuff up there and you'll never see it on the video. So it just is what it is. That's my other social media platform. So hey, thanks for watching. Keep wrenching in your foxes. We'll see you next time.